And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Flux Motorsport TV for round 2 of the GT3s at Zuhai. I am the console. I'll be your host this evening. I'm actually joined in the commentary box this evening as well with Toasty. Good evening, mate. Thank you for joining us. I know it's early days, but what's your first predictions for this race?
Well, first of all, yeah, I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to a exciting race. The practice session we just had a short one, but looked pretty close for the top couple drivers. So I'm actually looking at Chris today in the Lamborghini. See what he can do.
That's a very, very strong call. So just to give the viewers at home a little insight, so Bruce was setting in practice the fastest lap of a 1:32.7, and Chris in that white and pink Lamborghini we see just in the background there, sitting 2/1000ths of a second back. So Chris is absolutely flying in that Lamborghini, which you kind of expect to see in this definitely a power circuit. But Bruce making that little Janetta run. Curious to see if he can keep that up in the race, whether that was just a one-off quali trim all or nothing lap. But the next 18 minutes will definitely let us know on who is going to be where. So, just to bring everyone up to speed from last week, we raced around Dubai with an action-packed race. Barely a chance for me to get a breath in with all the action that was going through, but Bruce came out on top on that one in the Janetta, taking both fastest lap and the pole position points and the win. So a clean sweep for Bruce, a good way to start his GT3 campaign. In second we had Wadge, and followed by Jack in third. Those two battling out right to the end, and after a bit of a costly mistake into the final section on the, I believe it was like the second to last lap, just missing out on that second podium spot. So Jack will be looking to do some work to get that sort of righted. Snarling Bongo came home in fourth, Tibby in fifth, Immortalis finished in sixth. Unfortunately, Immortalis cannot be with us tonight, so we have parachuted in Flatpack, who has also jumped into the Ferrari. So looks like a driver swap, but not a car swap this week. And Flatpack did an excellent showing in touring cars this week. I believe he took home second place after a bit of a time penalty from Pro Fubby. So he'll definitely be one to watch. Hoping it can transfer to the GT3s. In seventh last week we had Blankfile cruising around in that big yellow Bentley. Expected a slightly better result from him last week, but got caught up in a turn 1 incident, so bit of a recovery drive from him. He'll be looking to get his campaign back on track and right the wrongs this week. In 8th we had TGS, 9th CDM, and rounding at the top 10 was Best Gamer. 11th was Chris M Sport, who, as we mentioned a minute ago, Toasty, was sitting second in practice, so he's definitely showing the pace. Needed to be at the top end. Maybe just a bit of racing woes he needs to resolve. Down in 12th we had Dr. Potford. Bit of a disappointing drive from Dr. Potford. He took home the podium, third place last season, so we know that he's definitely capable of getting up there and scoring really good points. Maybe just struggling a little bit to get that NSX working for him. In 13th place we had Linger, again another one we wouldn't expect normally to see that far back. In 14th we had Green Gaming, 15th was Flush, and 16th was Maze, who unfortunately got disconnected midway through the race. So it was a terminal engine failure for him. So we just jump on back here with Wadge, who's currently sitting on the top spot with a 1:33.2. He's probably going to have to go a little bit quicker if he's going to hang on to that top spot. 15 minutes left in the session. That M6 normally driving like a bit of a bow. We saw Mia in the first season making it work, getting up into second place, I believe she finished in. So obviously some power in the M6 if you can get it set up and working for you. But yeah, maybe still just warming the tyres up a little bit for Wadge. A little further to go. See Blankfile now starting to get into the 1:33.1s. Still much further to go. There it is, everyone. Bruce with a 1:32.1, absolutely flying, a one and done from him. So he's obviously running low fuel, or is confident he's done enough. As you can see, Waj, they're getting in a little bit quicker than Blank, so still 8/10 off the pace. Weather through this session, or all the sessions, is going to be clear throughout, so nice and sunny. However, we are hearing from certain drivers in the pits that the hards aren't getting up to temperature, so they're going to be running the softs, hopefully, well, with their best intentions, to the end. The quickest way is without a pit stop. So we should see softs going on and then a run straight to the end. Almost a bit of a sprint race. These GT3 cars carrying plenty of fuel to get there. Unlike the LMP2s that we saw last night, with people running out of fuel on the line.
Yeah, it's going to be important with the tires, keeping the tire pressures consistent throughout the 45 minutes if they're going to keep that one set through the whole through the whole race, and also the even tire wear. If you have so much more tire wear in the front than the rear, that's going to cause some issues, and they might have to come in.
Absolutely, especially if they're opting for the softer compound. So for those that aren't aware, the lobby is set with accelerated tyre wear. So tyre wear does actually play a big part in all of the Flux races. The softs, as we know, normally what happens with the GT3 cars, they set them up and they run on the hards and they go straight to the end. I think this is the first time where maybe we're going to see a lot of people go to the softs. So you're absolutely right. If they get the tyre pressures wrong, or even something simple as the camber or the toe slightly off, their tyre wear is going to degrade super quick, and they're going to have nothing left at the end, maybe even forcing a pit stop. So that's not what we're going to be wanting to see. Bruce still currently sitting on the top spot for a 1:32.1. Waj has been able to get the BMW much quicker into a 1:32.4, only 2 tenths off the pace now. And Chris 2 tenths off the back in the Lambo as well. So Bruce maybe not sitting quite as comfortably as he thought he was going to be with that kind of pace. Obviously, a few of these guys keeping a couple of tricks up their sleeve. So as we just jump on board with Chris here, as I said, last week he finished in 11th place, so just outside the top 10. However, as we can see from just this qualifier session alone, he has the pace in that Lamborghini to definitely be towards the sharp end of the grid. Just hoping he can keep it together for the full 45 minutes. Looking a little bit further back into the grid, so it looks like Blankfile down in 6th has managed to get within a second now. So the top 6 all separated by 9 tenths of a second, so they're starting to definitely close in. Jack just hanging on to 5th as well in the Ferrari, so a good showing from him. Dr. Potford currently in the pits with only 10 minutes left to go, so he's still got a little bit of time to get out, and he is ties up and get another few laps in, see if he can get that NSX moving a little bit quicker. Surprisingly, we're seeing Linger and Snarling. Linger's sitting in 8th place, but Snarling's still down in 12th. I'd expected him to be a little bit further up in the grey McLaren, I believe he's in. He felt a lot more confident in it over the AMG at the start of its sort of pre-season testing, so hopefully he's not fallen out of love with it just yet. Maybe a bit of a car change lingering in the air. We'll have to definitely keep a close eye on that one. Just jumping back a little bit further onto Flatpack, our reserve driver making his cameo appearance in the big leagues. So him jumping in for Immortalis this week. He's currently sitting in 13th place, which, to be honest, isn't a bad showing, considering he only got the call up maybe sort of half hour ago, jumping straight in. That's a great showing, and he tends to do quite well in race situations, so his racecraft will probably allow him to pick up a good few places. I expect to see him sitting just outside the top 10, if not sort of 9th, 10th, somewhere in that region. Currently sitting at the back is the two teammates, Survivor and Green Gaming, both opting with that sort of chrome covered extreme Z4. Both of them picking it after seeing the success from Blank File last season, taking that top spot, and they've not been able to get it to work quite so well. Survivor currently sitting 1/10 quicker than Green Gaming, so both like for like. I suspect they're probably using the same setup. Green Gaming raced here last night in the LMP2, so we expect him to have a bit more of his eye in for the track, and only really should be fine with the car. So we'll have to keep an eye on him, see how he gets on. I'm not too sure if the Z4 was maybe the good track for this. We saw it at Daytona. It lacks a little pace in a straight line, and Zuhai is, for the most part, sort of flat out. It'll definitely be a low downforce track, so keep an eye on them. Well, Tosi, I think your prediction has been extremely strong there, picking with Chris as we just jumped to him, did a little bit of lawnmower in there. Great pace from the Lamborghini.
Yeah, I was hoping I wasn't reading too much into the practice session, but it looks like it's about consistent with our results, what we have here. Chris, both Bruce and Chris, had great results in the LMP2 race here yesterday, and they both know exactly where to put the car on the track with defending and on the attack. Using that experience, I was racing against Chris side by side yesterday's LMP2 race, and I could just tell that he was gearing up for this race during that one.
Absolutely. I mean, the LMP2 race last night was a great battle, even for Bruce up the front, taking the win in the end, but still going door to door with eMotorsports and Mia. Until some sort of last lap tragedies with some back markers. So Bruce has definitely got his eye in, as you can see him absolutely flying towards the top. But you're absolutely right, if Chris had a go at it yesterday, he's definitely got his eye in, is making that Lamborghini work for him. Maybe treating like a secret practice session. So 7 minutes left to go. These guys are still going to get a few more laps, still time to pit and get out and do maybe 2 laps if they're quick. With tyres sort of all up to temperature and the fuel in, you see Bruce and Wadge diving in at the top there. Looks like Chris is going to go for a fast lap now, so we'll just stay with him for the time being, see how he's getting on, and see with the lights on there to let the other drivers know that he's on the fast lap. Something I said in last night's commentary as well, Toast, I don't know if you'll be able to sort of confirm it, but the curbs on some of these exits are absolutely killer, especially into turn 1 and that fast turn 4, 5 that we just saw. What was it like out there yesterday?
One curb, and I remember outside of the last corner, that one is, yeah, it's tough. Getting onto that curb, it drags you into the grass, and once you're in the grass, very difficult to smoothly get back onto the track and keep your line, especially if there's a car on the inside, so you have to be very careful through that last corner.
I forget who it was. I've got a feeling it was Taijo, maybe? It was someone driving the all-black livery, I forget the driver's name, who clipped the curb on the exit at turn 14, and it almost looked like it was going to throw them into the pit lane and disqualify him. It looked a real nasty crash, to be honest. We see Chris get around there with no problem. Let's see if he's being able to get anything done, and he hasn't, so he's going to stay put. Currently still sitting in third. A good buffer between him and Linger, though, about 3/10 of a second. Let's jump back and see where Linger is in the McLaren as well. Looks like he's just coming through turn 4 there, coming down into the hairpin of turn 7. And he's given up almost immediately. He must know we're watching him. So we jump on with Blank File sitting just behind Chris. They're still on a fast lap. Blank now will be on a fast lap, and they're coming back down to turn 7 as well. So interesting one with this Bentley. I kind of thought we'd be doing a little bit, going a little bit quicker than what it is. A big lumbering engine up front, massive turbo, but low.
Yeah, I see what you mean about the Bentley. Sounded like your microphone just cut out a bit there, but it's strangely enough, it's quick around tracks like Road America, where you have not many not many tight hairpins like this one. This track has a couple, but yeah, Road America. Sadly enough, we don't have that track on the schedule this season, but one of my favorite tracks. But well, yeah, we'll see what it does around here.
Sorry about that, my mic taking a day off. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with what you're saying. I think it's the tracks where it can get moving and stay moving is where it's going to do best. Unfortunately for Blank File, this GT3s this season, we are going on the APAC tour. So this week we're at Zuhai. Next week we're at Sakito. Week 4 sees us at Fuji, so he should do well there, I suspect. Not quite as slow in some of the sections. Sugo week 5 is probably going to be an absolute killer for that Bentley. Rapuna Park in round 6. Dubai we go back in round 7 and do the national circuit, so a slightly different layout. Getting a bit more heat and drama from week 1, I hope, and then we round out the season week 8 at Bathurst, where a bit of an altitude track, that one, so we should see the turbos play quite a difference there. I expect the Bentley to do well. It feels, I've been driving it a little bit this week, and out the box it has got so much downforce, more than you think, so maybe it's a bit more nimble than we give it credit for.
I find that most of these GT3 cars, they have tracks that they're very good around, and then tracks that they're not quite on the pace. And a couple of GT3 cars, they're good overall. So picking a car at the beginning of the season, driver just has to make the decision, okay, do I want to run consistently towards the front of the mid-pack, aim for that spot, or do I want to get a couple wins in the tracks that I know this car will be good in, and then see what I can come up with the rest.
I think that's definitely a very good way of thinking about it. I think a lot of the guys will just pick something that they're comfortable with in the pre-season, get something that is not trying to kill them on every corner, and then work backwards from there, really. 1 minute 50 seconds left to go. Bruce still currently sitting on the top spot. Looks like he's just getting ready to do another lap there, getting a bit of space between what I believe is Jack Demender's just in front of him. So he's going to have another bite at the cherry. Wadge still sitting in second. He looks like he's on a lap. Chris is in the pit, so he's not going to get another go at it now. Linger is still sitting in fourth. Blankfile is in the pits as well, so he's not going to get another go. Blankfile could potentially lose out to Mays and Jack if they find a little bit of pace. And we see Bruce getting squirrely on the exit of turn 4 there. As I said, that was absolutely killer in the LMP2s last night as well. Wadge then, all on his shoulders. He's on a fast lap at the minute. We can tell that by the headlights that are on. Has he got 0.2 of a second in a lap to take that top spot off of Bruce? We've got about a minute left to find out, so we're going to stick on board with him for a little bit longer and keep an eye on Linger on the leaderboard as well, still in fourth, but he is on a lap. If he can find 3 temps, he'll be taking that third spot off Chris, who is in the pits, and he's not going to get another go at it. Snarling and Flash have also jumped in. Whoa, and we see Wadge, as the cameraman has lost him. He's had a terrible accident. So the top 3 all into the pits. Linger now about to come across the start-finish line. Can he do anything to better his position as we wait? And it looks like he can't. So Linger staying put, although he's going to get one more go at it. The clock working in his favour just there, as we can see him getting squirrely on the exit of turn 1. That's going to do him no favour, so we drop back to Mays and just try and work out where he is on track. Looks like he's just come out of turn 12 up to turn 14 as he's got the M6 swirling in front of him. It looks like he's got a bit of a bash front end, so he's going straight into the pits as well. We jump down to 7th with Jack getting out of turn 4 and 5, where we just saw Bruce go around. Jack keeping that Ferrari nice and planted. It looks very stable as he comes down into turn 7 now. heavy on the brakes. You can see the rear trying to step out, balancing it with the throttle, getting a really good exit up this main straight into the double left-hander of turn 9 and turn 10. Important to get turn 9 right. Turn 10 should be flat out if you get turn 9 right. So looks like he clipped the apex 9. A little bit of wiggle on the exit. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. He only needs to find 1/1000th of a second just to take that 6th spot. I'm sure we want to do a little bit better than that, though. Tibby and CDN back into the pits now, so they're not going to get a go at it either. Dr. Potford in 10th looks like he's still out on track. We'll try and jump back with him in a second to see where he is up to. Jack just coming up to turn 14 now, flat out. This should just be a little dab of the brakes, turn in and power as early as you can. Super careful not to get as much of that grass as you mentioned earlier, Toasty. That will not do you any favours. It looks like he can't do any better, so he's staying put. And that is the end of our session. Everyone else not making it round in time. So, Bruce Law taking the pole position. That's another pole position on his current so far perfect record. Wadge sitting in second in that M6. Chris, Toasty's prediction in third. Good call, mate. Linga Bazinga in fourth, Blankfile fifth, Mays in sixth, which is where we saw him running in Dubai last week after an untimely disconnection. So hopefully he'll be able to pick up a few more spaces and get a good result this week round. Jack takes home seventh place. Eighth is in Tibby. CDN in ninth. Dr. Potford rounds out the top 10 in his NSX. Just behind him we have Snarling Bongo in the McLaren Flush in 12th with their Audi R8. TGS in that M6 in 13th. Flatpack, the reserve driver for tonight in the Ferrari, he's currently sitting in 14th place. Survivor in 15th and Green Gaming in 16th, both teammates in the Z4. So we move forward to the race. This is the bit where it all counts, ladies and gentlemen. So 2 minutes of tinker time. Checking the fuel, checking the pit stops, making sure they've got a right strategy just before we go green lights. As we mentioned earlier, we think it's going to be soft tyres to the end, no pit stops unless it's for damage. But as Toasty rightly said, tyre wear is going to be a massive factor around this track. I expect they're going to take it a little bit easy, sort of fall into line as quickly as they can and leave the racing for the last sort of 15 minutes, which is kind of what we saw last night. I mean, it looked like you were battling with Chris for most of the way, Toasty, but yeah, how was it out there in terms of for the full 45-minute stretch?
Yeah, it's a bit different than these cars in the LMP2s. A lot more downforce, but yeah, dirty air definitely plays a big role in that. We'll see what it's like driving this close behind one another at the start with the wake, the big wings on the back of the cars make for the cars behind.
We did see last week Bruce got that Janetta off the line superbly. I think I quoted it as the fox and the hound into turn one. It looked like he just broke away from the pack and was able to hang on to his line. I'm sure he's going to be trying to do the same feat this week, but he has got an M6 and a massive Lamborghini for company. So, and it is a long run into turn one as well. So he's not... I'm not sure I fancy his chances in the Janetta. He's going to be on the outside too, so he's going to have to get something done and get over to the inside probably to try and defend it. I said the same thing in Dubai. I think he's got a lot of work to do, a lot of powerful cars behind him that are going to be hunting for that top spot. So tinker time is done. The lights are going out. Who's going to make it down into turn one in first? Looks like Bruce gets a good start there, and also brilliant start from Wadge and Chris, because everyone getting sort of nearly 4 wide in the background there. Bruce off the line again, holds his lead into turn one. Chris falls in line just behind him. Wadge and Blankfile are going side by side. It looks like everyone else is able to keep it clean. Linga and Mays are going side by side into turn three. They're going to be careful and give each other the room through there. A little further back, TGS holding on to 8th place, so he's jumped up a little bit. Wadge getting a little bit of wide there on the turn 4. Looks like Bruce is taking defensive moves there against Chris as they come down into turn 7, but looks like Chris is a little bit too far back. Blankfile, Mays and Tibby all piling on the pressure on Wadge. A little bit of door bumping going there as we see Wadge get Mays getting pushed around in that McLaren. That's probably going to be a steward's inquiry there. Looks like 4 into 1 will not go. So Linger on the outside into turn 9 there. Again, Wardlaw. I mean, these guys are, looks like they're just fighting for position straight out the gate before they get themselves settled. Looks like Blankfile's going to pick that up and stay in 4th place. It looks like TGS getting really wide and going for a little trip on the grass there. That's allowed Dr. Potford to get up to 6th. Good run from him. We saw him start in 10th place as memory serves, so he's made up a good few positions. It looks like Jack has gone backwards quite severely. He's down in 14th now, so he's going to have work to do. See Snarling falling back there as well. Survivor has moved himself up to 13th, so he's made a couple of positions up, and CDN ending up at the back, so maybe a spin from him too. Flatpack, the reserve driver, and ended up in 8th, so he's maybe able to jump up from 14th. Good start from him. Just jump back a little bit further. Someone is getting extremely wide there, and that is Jack, so it's definitely damage. A bit of pushing and shoving going on from him. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we go through the race. Jumping back up to the front, so this is the man with the pressure back on him, much like we had in Dubai. Pole position. Oh, and Chris has gone round in the background there. I believe this is something similar to we saw in Dubai last week, Toasty. Your man's not having a good time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can tell the difference a lot of the time between the veteran drivers and the ones new to the series. The veteran drivers, they just seem to, even if they get past at the start, they just hang back, avoid contact, and keep racing on their own if they need to, and eventually you see them come up front.
This is it. Patience is everything in this game. It is a long race, and as I said last night, you've only got to be in first at the end. So Bruce has pulled out nearly a 4-second gap to 2nd, 3rd and 4th, who've got themselves in a nice little train here. Wadge still with a little bit of a buffer between Blankfile and Linger, so we'll be looking to manage that gap, get his head down and try to catch up with Bruce. You can see the gap there. Look, that Janetta absolutely storming ahead. We can also see Dr. Potford ended up in 5th, so he's making up 5 places in only 3 laps, so a brilliant start from him. Now, NSX, as I said last week, not known for its straight line speed, but tends to be quite stable. You just get a little bit wiggly there, making me eat my words. TGS in the M6 is starting to close up on the back of him. It won't be long if Dr. Potford is making those sorts of mistakes on the exits. It won't be long before TGS catches him up. No slouch in the GT3s. You can see the momentum TGS is carrying out the exit of turn 4 there, down into 7. Sorry. Really closing up that gap and applying pressure. Flatpack, the reserve driver tonight, starting to get pressure from Mays as he has a little spin mid-corner. Nothing he can do about that. No contact. That was all self-inflicted, but does look like he collected Mays. Should be minimal damage to Mays' car there, so hopefully it hasn't affected his race too much. And it looks like Flatpack also misses out to Tibby as well. Let's just jump back a little bit. So Chris currently sitting in 10th place. We saw him have a spin from 2nd last lap, so he's got a little bit of work to do now to get himself back up into the big point scoring positions. He's got Flush in the Audi R8. He's Tibby's teammate this season. They've got a little bit of work to do as well to get around them two. CDN looks like he's starting to catch up in 12th in that Lamborghini. Survivor starting to go backwards again now as well. Jack, we saw Jack have a massive spin onto the start-finish straight. We're not quite sure what happened to him. Couldn't see if there's any contact or whether it was just the curbs we mentioned in qualifying taking him away. Green Gaming in 15th, and Snarling has fallen all the way to the back, and it looks like he's got a slightly adjusted front end, so I'm not sure whether he's had damage and has pitted yet or just damage. We will have to check back with him and see how we go. Jumping back up towards the front though, this is where we want to be. So Linger and Blankfile getting ready to go dancing. Looks like Linger's a little bit too far back to make a move just yet. That Bentley is really nice onto the brakes, actually able to brake really late and keep it nice and stable, so that's going to make Linger's job just a little bit harder. Wadge is unable to close down onto Bruce, but is managing the gap to the to Blank and Linger. So he's sort of sitting in his own little bubble for the minute, but if he's not careful, Linger and Blank are going to catch up onto the back of him. Bruce is pulling away 4.5 seconds now, that gap in that Ginetta. So who knew the Ginetta was going to be the car of choice this season, eh?
I definitely did not predict that. Did not see that coming, the Ginetta.
I don't think I've seen anyone pick it in the public lobby. It's a bit of a rogue choice, but I think we could see a change now going forwards. To all those that have watched this, there's going to be plenty of Ginetta drivers now.
Yeah, just like Blank File certainly influenced a couple drivers to choose the Z4 as you call it. Yeah, this season. So
that's it. We'll have to keep an eye on Queen Gaming and Survivor, see if they change to a Ginetta next season. Eyes peeled, everyone. I'm calling now week 2. So, Linger and Blank File still not able to get anything done just yet, although it could be a little bit of a run there from Linger down into this sort of hairpin of turn 7. It's a bit of an odd corner to get an overtake on. You almost have to do it under braking towards the inside really early, but you do run the risk of making contact. These guys, both veteran drivers in the Flux community. Blank File obviously racing with the Curb Clipper group, so extremely well versed in GT3 racing and racing etiquette, so we shouldn't see any contact or mishaps between these two. They'll be able to drive like that all day long. Just nipping back to keep an eye on Dr. Pofford and TGS in his M6. It's like TGS has fallen back a little bit, so not able to hang on quite as much as he'd like, as Maze is starting to close up as well, but not if he keeps getting on the grass like that. The cameraman loses him for a little bit. Tibby and Flush are starting to close up as well. Maybe some team orders are going to come into play here. They're hunting down Chris, who's on a bit of a recovery drive after a spin we saw him have, so he's moving up through the pack now. He's got Maze in his sights next. We've seen him with the pace to be able to get it done. It's just whether he can actually pull it off in the race. We're not sure if he's got any damage or whether it was just a spin. As we just look slightly further back, it's telling me CDN is starting to get on the back of Flush, but it looks like they're a little too far back to get anything done just yet. So, jumping back on board with Blank File and Linger, this is the closest battle we've got on track at the minute, and let's just jump inside Linger's cockpit. This is what he can see: an absolute bootload of Bentley, and there is plenty of Bentley to look at, but no actual way around currently. Linger's be trying every trick in the book, trying to get Blank File to move off the racing line and maybe defend slightly harder than need be, just trying to almost move him around on track and create an opening. But Blank File is a very well-versed driver, and it is going to take every trick in the book to get it done. As Blank File gets a little bit wide, gets a poor exit, Linger's going to go down onto the outside. Now, can he get it done around the outside? I suspect he's going to try to go back up underneath. He hasn't quite got the legs to get it done, or the room. Opts to sit right in the draft. I suspect going up the inside of turn 14 isn't really an option, so it's going to be into turn 1 now if he's going to do it. If he can hang through this final corner, get the drag up the start-finish line, I think that's been his closest opportunity yet. So he'll have the toe all the way down into turn 1. You can see him pull out to the inside, too far back to have a go just yet. He's going to have to wait another lap before he can get a sniff at that. You were driving around here yesterday, toasting the LMP2s. Where did you find the overtaking opportunities were coming?
Into either the hairpins. I believe there's 2. Although a lot of the track seems just as tight. So any of the heavy braking zones really. That's where we saw most of the overtaking yesterday. But we did see a couple of very brave around the outside, around some very quick corners. So, depending on the drivers, could be anywhere, really.
I think we'll definitely see at least 2 people opt to go around the outside, maybe trying to get themselves an overtake of the week.
Yeah.
Do it for the fame. As we see Linger getting on the curb there, that's going to wreck his race. that is unfortunate. So on the exit of turn 10, getting on the curbs and just losing the car, unsettling the balance of it and paying the ultimate price. That's going to release Blankfile to get after Wadge, and hopefully in turn get after Bruce, who is still managing that 4.5 second gap. No sign of slowing for Bruce at all, and Blankfile and Wadge have got about a second gap, so we'll keep an eye on that. It looks like Dr. Potford is getting under pressure. We see Linger get into the pits there. Looks like Mays is still a little bit too far back to get anything done just yet. TGS, CDN and Flush are starting to get themselves ready for a little dance. TGS having a little look on the inside. Has to be careful not to get back on the racing line and get CDN. Oh, and he goes round into turn 1. That little look being ultimately costly for him. Are we seeing perhaps the guys driving too hard if they have opted for the soft tyres and getting them getting their pressures outside of the optimum, overheated maybe? What are your thoughts?
Could be that, yeah. And even if they're lucky to spin away from the wall and not get any damage, those tires are gonna definitely suffer. And I saw Linga on that curb. I was thinking Wadge did the same thing in qualifying, but unluckily enough it was during the race for Linga, so unfortunate.
And during the races when it counts, I'm afraid we did see a few guys go round in turn 1 and on the exit of 10, which is where we saw Linga go round. So they've been sort of the hot spots for the spins at the minute, as well as actually turn 4, that fast left-hander. Getting on the exit of there seems to be quite risky as well. So CDN looks like he's sitting just a little bit too far back to get hold of Flush, so we'll keep an eye on that for the minute. Has Chris been able to close up any gap on Mays? It looks like he's getting there, but not quite just yet. Again, the drag down the start-finish line has helped. You see that Lamborghini sort of forcing it to the inside. Maybe he was a little closer than the camera led us to believe. So this could be the lap for Chris. He's on a bit of a recovery drive. He's making his way back up quite nicely through the pack. If he keeps this pace up, he could definitely end up taking 4th. Is definitely well within his reach. I'm not sure about the top 3. I think they might be just out of grasp for the minute, but there's still 30 minutes left to go. So a long way ahead. A lot can happen. Yeah, it's getting up on the inside there. Going to try out drag the AMG down into turn 9 with his Lamborghini. He's thinking better of it, not the time now. This turn 9, turn 10, the track seems to narrow for me, I think. So you never have the room on the outside or the inside that you think you should have. It sort of narrows down a bit and then widens back up here. So as you said, Toasty, I think it's going to be turn 11, which is what they're now coming up to. That's heavy braking zone of that right-hander. And turn 7, the other hairpin, I think, are going to be where we're going to see the guys go for it the most. A lot of them obviously opting just to fall in line for the rest of the track.
Right, yeah, Chris made a good move there. He didn't go side by side through turns, I think it was 9 and 10, the double left with Mays. Yeah. We were doing that yesterday in the LMP2s, but we've also raced each other quite a bit, and if you're not quite sure, if you don't fully trust the driver you're side by side through that section, it's better to just not try.
Chris trying to get his nose up the inside into turn 1, that's extremely dangerous, high risk. It's so easy just to tap the back of the car in front, but these two are good racers. They've been racing with us for a little while now, so obviously, as you said, you've got to be able to trust the driver next to you. These two obviously got the measure of each other, and they're prepared to push it. Just jumping back a little bit real quick, it looks like Flush and Tibby and CDN are lining up for another little dance. As Flush getting on the brakes, super late getting up the inside. That's going to be contact every day of the week. He really should be giving that back, or the stewards are going to have a little look at that one maybe. Looks like Tibby's losing out to CDN as well, who's taking just the sort of place has been given to him, so the teammates getting a little bit too pushy-shovey. But we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go through. But still, Flush up to 7th for the time being, CDN in 8th, and Tibby in 9th. Flatpack doing well and holding out onto the top 10. He's sitting just behind this group here. You can see him just in the background there in his Ferrari. He's running a little bit in no man's land, so he's got some clean air, and Jack is behind him as well. Doesn't look like he's closing up just yet, so another little while to go before that starts to heat up. Let's just jump back on the top here with Blank Fowler. Looks like he's closed up a little bit, but not quite enough. I don't think he's just in within a second of Wadge now, but still too far back to make a move. If anything, I think just be keeping Wadge honest at this point. Just sort of letting him know that he's there, sort of trying to apply as much pressure as he can, maybe forcing a mistake. It's the little mistakes that will allow Blank Fowler to catch back up, as well as just Blank's outright pace. So definitely mind games going on here. Bruce still pulling that gap out to nearly 5 seconds, as we saw there, so no mistakes from him. He's sort of driving around in his own race, not getting enough airtime. And again, I have to say, I'm so impressed with this Ginetta's pace this season. I thought when he picked it that was going to see him sort of residing to the mid-pack, and he's proven everyone. I think he shocked a lot of people getting that Ginetta to work.
Yeah, just like he did with the SLS last season.
Absolutely. So let's jump on board with Bruce. Let's do a hot lap with him across the start finish. This is the easy bit, flat out into turn 1, looking just at the 100 board, getting on the brakes nice and early. Trying not to go too wide. It ends up a little bit bumpy on the exit over there. As you can see, Bruce taking it nice and careful. This next corner should just be flat out, I would expect, in these cars. Maybe a little confidence lift, no flat from him. So into turn 4, a little braking just where the road goes dark. Trying not to clip the exit too much. He's taking that really easy, actually, not being aggressive at all. So this is through turn 6 into turn 7. 6 is a bit of a nothing moment. Turn 7, heavy braking zone. This is where we're going to see a few of the guys try and overtake under braking to the inside there. Bruce keeping it nice and neat and tidy on the run up to turn 9. Turn 8 is this little chink here. Again, another nothing moment. Heavy braking just at the 100 board there, looking to clip the apex. Again, it gets a little bit bumpy on exit, so take it nice and easy. Turn 10 here should be flat, maybe a little confidence lift from Bruce there. Trying not to get too much on the curbs, as we saw from Wadge. Now coming down the run into turn 11, another big braking zone just at the 100 board there. Looking to just tip the car in, clip the apex and get a nice good exit for the run up to turn 14 at the end. Turn 13 is another nothing moment, a little jink in the road that they will barely notice. There it is. So looking to get the car as far out wide as possible, nice and early on the brakes, trying to get the best exit onto the start finish line as possible. Careful of the exit curves. You can see Bruce taking that perfectly, maximising his pace down to the start finish line. And there it is. That is what one lap of Zuhai looks like for these drivers, or for Bruce in particular. So Chris is now starting to get on the back of Dr. Pofford, so it looks like he's got round May's game, and we must have missed that when we were following Bruce around. And he has made real short work of getting on the back of Dr. Pofford, actually. So, as I said, 4th is definitely in reach of him, and here it is, it lies in front of him. So, and Dr. Pofford getting wide on the exit of turn 1 there. Like I said, it's a little bit bumpy, you can lose the car there, gifting Chris that place. 17 seconds off the back of Bruce, about 10 seconds off the back of Blank. So, what do you think, Toast? Do you reckon he could catch up to the back of the top 3?
It depends. It depends on his what he's thinking about strategy. We're reaching the halfway point, and depending on which drivers have really worn down the tires because of spins, or just by having to swerve around incidents, or it's gonna be a tough call for all the drivers to see whether they have to come in halfway, or I mean, it's better to go in halfway than have 10 minutes to go and realize that you need to stop. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I think if they're going to pit, I think you're right. It's going to be sort of now or never, really. It looks like Chris's strategy is maximum attack. He's obviously bit of a chip on his shoulder after that early incident mistake that he made. So he's pushing on. You know what? I'm going to back him. I reckon he catches up with the back of Blank File, and if he doesn't take third place, I reckon he at least challenges for it. A great recovery drive from him. We saw him sort of rip through the pack, so he's now in the clean air. I reckon he could get a podium spot today.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll make it up there. Of course, it's how long we have until the race is left when he makes it there, and who he's racing against, so whether he can get past. But yeah, we'll see.
Time is definitely of the essence as we are just approaching the halfway mark at 23 minutes, and Flush and Tibby, they've swapped back round, and CDN going backwards as well. Looks like he's had a bit of a spin, falling right back into the clutches of Flatpack. So the two teammates, we saw them have a little collision here a few laps ago. They get much cleaner here. We see Mays is off on the dirt there, so he needs to be careful defending. That was a little bit too aggressive, maybe, but maybe not just seeing the L8s come on the exit in that corner with the benefit of the doubt, as we see Timmy trying to get around the outside on this narrow part of the track. That's extremely brave, opts to get out of it for turn 10. Good move, as we see Flush capitalising on that mistake. So the teammates obviously taking it in turns to get hold of Mays. Mays with some work to do here. As we said last week, he suffered a disconnection, but was running about 6th, so this is comfortable territory for him. This is the sort of pace that he was used to and where he was sitting in the pack, but these guys are definitely not making it easy for him. As we look slightly further back, it looks like CDN is getting away from Flatpack at the minute, but we'll definitely keep a closer eye on that. So it looks like Mays has got a bit of a gap into turn 1. There shouldn't be any overtakes going from Flush there, but Tibby, I believe, will be able to get onto the back of Flush into that turn 7 hairpin on the braking, and I think he's probably going to have a go, maybe actually a little bit too far back, as we see Jack Mendes diving into the pits there. Is that going to be for tyres, or is that for damage?
I think it might be for tyres. We saw him go off early, and I don't think he pit after that, so it might be tire for him.
Tyre guns going. I think that is actually for damage. We will catch up after the race, and as we flip back, Flush has gone round, giving the place to Flatpack CDN and relieving the pressure off of Mays. Not sure, looked like that was all by himself, getting a little bit too keen on the throttle on the exit there. We saw him last week having not the best showing as he would like. I believe he's streaming his race on his channel as well as redeeming himself from last week, so definitely a better showing than definitely in the top 10, but a little bit more work to do maybe to get into the sort of 6th place that he was fighting for. And that really is the difference definitely in this mid package between the people who make mistakes and the people who don't, really. And that sounds harsh, but that's the way motorsport goes, I think, mate.
Yeah, we have CDN right behind him. He had a great result in the GTEs at Willow Springs on Friday. I think he had a podium, a 3rd place, and Flatpack right behind him. Very quick in the touring cars.
Flatpack is like lightning in a touring car, I can confirm. As I said, I believe he took home 2nd spot after Pro Fubby taking a time penalty, so definitely in the top 3. Wadge actually took the win that race in a very rainy and horrible Snetterton, a race I would sooner forget. But it looks like Mays has spun round, am I correct? So Tibby, CDN and Flatpack all being gifted a space. As I said in qualifying, Flatpack racecraft has been excellent for all season and in the races we've raced with him, and he always seems to do better in the race than he does in qualifying. So looks like he's just keeping it clean, keeping himself out of danger, and is picking up the scraps as and when they arrive, not really forcing that Ferrari to do anything it doesn't want to do, playing it safe, and it's working for him. Definitely an 8th place finish is not to be sniffed at all.
Definitely, I think he was just getting to grips with the very different drivetrain that is a Ferrari, being used to a front-wheel drive front-engine car going to a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car. It's quite a shock if you don't have that much practice throughout the week going into the race.
The Renaults and the Renault Megane and the Ferrari are vastly different cars. That is definitely true. Just jumping a little further back, it looks like TGS is starting to hassle the back of Survivor for 11th place. TGS getting a little squirrely on the exit. It looks like it's not going to matter. Survivor not having a great exit either, not being able to get anything done into turn 10, so this is probably going to wait for another turn 11 under braking move, I suspect. I do apologise, they wanted to start finish, they're not where I thought they were. So a drag race into turn 1, obviously Snarling Bongo and his grey McLaren at the back there, not a great showing from him. We saw him making a mistake early on in the race and costing him big time as Survivor gets wide on the exit of turn 1. TGS takes away the inside, a nice clean move from him. He should be able to make that stick if he's careful. Looks like he was just trying to give a bit too much room to Survivor there and just nearly costed himself an incident. So these two opting to stay side by side for a little bit longer. Can anything happen in the braking zone here? Looks like no, so it's probably going to be a stretch up into turn 10, but again this is another risky move. We saw Tibby try to get around the outside here, and the track does narrow just enough to make it extremely difficult, so probably better to opt out of that one. Looks like Snarling is catching up to the back of these guys, so if they're not careful, Snarling's going to be able to pick both of them off in his McLaren and try and get his recovery drive in place. A bit of flashing of the lights there, a little bit of mind games being played. Oh, and a little bump from TGS into Survivor, that's going to be some damage. The stewards will definitely be having a look at that, as we see, looks like two people got disconnected just then. I'm not sure who when. It looks like TGS and someone else, but I'm not sure who. So just try and flick through and find out who went there. Jack is still here. Looks like Linga Pazinga is gone.
It is Linga.
In the red McLaren, so a shame to see him lose out. We saw him have a massive incident, so it was going to be another recovery drive from him in the McLaren. Maybe a potential car change coming from him. We'll have to wait and see. So currently the closest battle we've got on track at the minute is CDN and Tibby battling it out for 6th place. Bruce has actually lost a little bit of time to Wadge. They're only a 2.3 second gap now, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that at the front. Wadge pulling out a gap onto Blankfile, now nearly a 5 second gap between them two, so Blankfile dropping off just a little bit. Chris is still sitting 10 seconds ish back from Blankfile, so he's got a little bit of work to do. We've only 16 minutes left to do it. It could be an order that is slightly too tall for him to reach, but still, what a drive to go from second almost to the back and then back up to 4th, especially in a grid as competitive as this one is no easy feat, so props to him. It looks like in the battle for 6 Maze he's starting to get himself on the back of this. Fancy little slice of the action. We saw him have a spin earlier on and let Tibby, CDN and Flush through, but Flush also suffering a little pirouette and losing out as well. So I suspect all of these 4 are going to close back up and have another dance, but at the minute it is CDN on Tibby, and he's just too far back to get anything done. Just giving Tibby a little look there, let him know that he's coming again, applying that pressure. It's all about mind games in these cars. As it seems that Lamborghini should outdrag that Audi in the straight lines, but Tibby is driving the absolute wheels off that R8, not giving anything up easy, almost trying to back him up into Maze, let them two start squabbling so he can get a bit of a breathing space, pull out a bit of a gap. So, while we've got the backdrop of this race, of this battle going on behind us, we'll keep a close eye on it. Let me walk you through what we've got coming up next week before we get to the final 10 minutes of action in this race. So, on Tuesday, you can join Murphy and the touring cars at 8 o'clock UK time as we head to Walton Park International. That is going to be a brilliant race. Super narrow, super tight, super fast in the touring cars. Expect lots of overtaking and lots of door-to-door action. In the GT1s, we join Lecky on Thursday at 8 o'clock UK time as they head to Zolder, another brilliant track. The track well suited as we see CDN has spun there, so Tibby getting the breathing space that he needs. Looks like Mays is unable to make up any space, so nothing much happening there. And Chris has gone backwards as well. Looks like Dr. Popper has gone through, so maybe a spin from him too. I turn away for a second and it all happens.
It looked like there was contact between Mays and CDN there. Not sure. Yeah, that's going to go down to stewards maybe.
Maybe another stewards are going to be slightly busier than we would have liked for this race, but if you're going to go racing, then you're going to go crashing. So Chris is going to want to get Dr. Potford back in his review mirror and try and take that 4th place away. That's probably going to cement 4th as the absolute best for him now with only 10 minutes left to go, unless something drastic happens up at the front. I wonder where he's going to get the drag into Dr. Popford in turn 1. No, that NSX slightly too far ahead, so we'll keep a close eye on that. So, as I was saying, Thursday at 8 o'clock UK time, we join Lecky in the GT1s as they head to Zolder, an absolute brilliant track from them. On Friday, we get to join Carlin Hicks in one of our new championships kicking off this season at 8 o'clock in the Eastern time zone as the GTEs head to Sonoma. Not a fan favourite for me, definitely super narrow, super hot, super hilly. Everything you wouldn't want for your tyres all lives in Sonoma, but that's going to be a close race for sure. I believe Lecky took the win yesterday at on Friday at Willow Springs, so we'll definitely want to keep a watch out on that. On Saturday, you can join Giacomo at 8 o'clock UK time for the LMP2s as they head to Sakito in Japan. That is going to be a brilliant race. Long, fast, sweeping corners where they met high downforce LMP2s to get their foot flat. Immortalis is probably going to be wanting to redeem himself after yesterday's incident. Also on Saturday, you can join Hogo in the Indy cars at 8 o'clock Eastern time, so a double header on Saturday night, and it looks like the Indies are going to Texas Oval, so that's going to be the first oval race of the season. That I'll definitely be tuning in for that. I hope to see you there as well. Sunday, you can join myself and Toasty. We're going to be heading to Sakito as well in the GT3s, and a brilliant track, especially for these sorts of cars. I find little bit of something for everyone, some tight and windy stuff, and some long flowing stuff as well. So a good mix for the cars. A little bit should be a level playing field. And also on Sunday at 8 o'clock Eastern time, you can join Muttley and One Shoe as they take the Stock Car Championship also into Texas. They're going to be going tonight actually into Willow Springs. So I don't think I've ever driven a stock car on a road course, so I'll be tuning in to find out how they get on with that. That is going to be an absolute feast to watch. Those cars are big, heavy, and don't really have brakes.
Oh yeah, they're difficult on road courses, that's for sure. And yeah, it's going to be
Willow
interesting.
Springs of all road courses as well.
Right.
So make sure you tune in for that one and go show them some love. As always, if you are watching, please hit the subscribe and like button and show some support for the channel. It helps us out massively. Say that we see Chris getting up on the inside of Dr. Potford. They're forcing him on the outside. They're super aggressive, but well-respected driving from the pair of them. As you said earlier, good faith and respect for both drivers, being able to trust each other to push that hard. Chris holding on to the inside. I wonder whether he's going to lose a little bit of pace on the exit. Dr. Potford may be able to get another go at this on turn 1. But that Lamborghini, we know, slouch in a straight line. Here it is, Dr. Potford going for the inside, late on the brakes as you like. Parks the car on the apex. Great move from him. Can Chris get back up underneath? No, he can't, so he's going to have to fall back in line. Great driving from them two. I reckon that's not done yet either. I reckon they're going to have another little sniff into, maybe not this early, definitely into turn 7 though. Wow, so as I was saying, so yeah, please show some support to the channel. It helps us out massively. Also, don't forget to head over to www.fluxmotorsport.com and see our brand new website that we released this week. You can sign up to our Discord there to come get involved in all the racing and all the action. And we also have our brand new shop where you can pick yourself up some fantastic Flux merch looking fly for everyone else. Everything that you guys can do is all put back into the community for better streams, better races, better prizes. So help us to bring the ultimate sim racing experience as we try and improve every single week. So getting back to the racing now, I've done the promotion bit. Chris and Dr. Potford just clearing the back marker there of what I believe is going to be Survivor. Gaming is a little bit further up the road, so they're starting to get into back markers now. They're going to want to make sure that they don't lose too much pace coming through it. All the drivers have been warned to get out of the way as early as possible under blue flag conditions and try and not hold anyone up as best they can. Chris still unable to get anything done. There's a little lock up there. He'll be braking slightly later than he would have liked, but with only 8 minutes left to go, it is now or never, really. He needs to get this move done sooner rather than later to claim himself that 4th spot, and those little sort of accidents like that are not going to help. Smooth and clean is going to be the way. I want to jump back to Tibby and Mays, but it looks like they're a little bit too far back to be doing anything just yet, as well as Green Gaming and Jack, as we can see just in front, having a bit of a go. It looks like Dr. Pofford made a mistake on the exit there, so these two in the blue flags are going to need to get out of the way now, not trying to hold these cars up at all. Well done from Green Gaming there, getting on the brakes and as far out of the way as he possibly could. Jack will be up next, but he'll be doing the same. Dr. Pofford getting wide onto the grass there, so Chris gets himself back into 4th place. He's got 7 minutes to defend. From Dr. Potford, who has shown that NSX actually has got some legs in it. Chris wasn't able to just cruise around like he probably would have hoped for in the Lamborghini. Especially it's got a bit of pink on it, and as we know, pink cars do in fact go faster. So, looking.
Oh, sorry. Dr. Potford. Last week, his the handling of the car just seemed like the car just wasn't underneath him. But this week it seems to be like he's made a couple changes. He's a bit more confident in what it's going to do, and yeah, even making a couple saves in a single corner. Just displaying incredible car control, driving that close to Chris and not making any contact.
That is 100% spot on, and that's what we saw last season. He was driving in the Ferrari last season, but he looked absolutely planted, and he was the reason why he ended up 3rd really was just through his consistency, week in, week out, delivering good results, not really getting himself into trouble, keeping the races nice and clean and picking up the spots as they came. And last week we saw that NSX just wasn't really playing ball, and rightly so, as you said, that's looked planted all the way. So he's had a few little wiggles he's got onto the curves, but nothing he's not been able to hang on to. So definitely steps in the right direction from him. Before the race he was in some private testing and falling, so definitely had the spanners out and has been tweaking with it. So week by week I think that car's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. But by week 2 to be in top 5 already, that's not bad going in anyone's book. So just jumping up to look towards the front as we come to 5 minutes left in this race. We're not going to spend too long up here. We'll keep an eye on Chris and Dr. Potford as well. So Bruce still in the lead. It looks like it's going to be another clean sweep from him, providing nothing mad happens. He's been nice and consistent always long, taking the pole position. We'll have to wait and see if he's got the fastest lap, but I don't see why he wouldn't. He's been in clean air for a long time. Maybe Wadge or Blank has been able to rob it. Wait and see for the timing board at the end, but he's set for another clean sweep of the points. Wadge still sitting in 2nd in that M6, not able to get on the back of Bruce just yet, but not out of touching distance. If a mistake was to be made, he could probably get there, but time is starting to run out for him. Blank sitting in third. Looks like he's just clearing the black marker of Snarling, who's got an even more adjusted front end now. So it looks like he's had a conversation with the wall a couple more times. He won't be happy with that result. But Blank unable to keep up with Wadge in the BMW, but is enough gap away from Chris. So he's probably going to be pretty cemented there, providing, again, nothing crazy happens to him. Chris, Dr. Potford, as we've seen, are going at it. We'll keep an eye on them. Tibby is sitting on his own in 6th. Looks like he's left Flush behind now. You can see the Flush's car just in the background. The TX3 Pro teammates there, both in the Audi R8. Flush looks like Mays is a couple of seconds back, so he's got a bit of breathing space. He'll be looking to manage that for the last couple of laps. 3 minutes left to go now, so maybe 3-4 laps to go, depending on where Bruce is out on track. May's sitting in 8th, in touching distance of Flush, but he's going to need to get a move on if he's going to get it done. I see him heavy under braking there, the front of the car trying to step out. He's going to be keeping an eye on that, and that's what causes accidents. CDN in 9th, just sitting off the back of Mays. I don't think he's going to be able to catch up either or get anything done. If he is, he's leaving it extremely late as well. Only 3 minutes left to go now. Snarling is driving around on his own. He's a long way off the back, and he's got Jack about 15 seconds behind him, so he should be finishing in 10th if he has his way. Jack in 11th, we saw him take a massive shunt right towards the start of the race, and I think we've seen him pit twice for damage, so his race has sort of been ruined by pit stops, really. He's got Chris coming up behind him, so he's going to be looking to get out of the way of that as well. Survivor is sitting well off the back of Jack, so no racing to be done there, but he is beating his teammate Green Gaming, who is further back still. Well, it looked like it was nearly a lap down, but he's not. So everyone has sort of spanned out a little bit in the final 2 minutes. It looks like the cars have got they've given all they've got to give, or maybe they're just getting the final breather in before a last lap dash. Maybe they're doing a bit of a Lando Norris on us. We wait and see.
Sadly, no ERS deployment in these. But
I reckon some of them would have hoped for it.
Yeah, we do have push to pass in the IndyCar. We saw a lot of that in Willow Springs last night.
I believe is it only 10 goes at it on the IndyCars over the whole
so,
race.
Yeah.
You can get 10 presses. Is that right?
Yep.
It's not like the DRS where you can just open it wherever is it, or the MP1s where it recharges. It's just 10 presses and that's a lot.
Yeah. Unlike a race of number of laps, timed race can't be finished quicker, and I think Bruce knows that because he's an expert at just waiting until he absolutely has to push, and when he does, he has the tires, because we saw that onboard lap with him. He was making minimal inputs and just saving, doing conservative laps, and we can see Wedge, he was within 2 seconds, and yeah, Bruce already pulled a second gap on him.
This is it, and this sort of just goes to show, as you said earlier, the experience of some of the drivers on this grid is massive. Bruce and Blankfile both racing with curb clippers for a number of years. Wadge has been recently new to our ranks, but I believe he's raced elsewhere as well. Dr. Potford has been a long-time member, Tibby been a long-time member, and Chris. Snarling, Linger, Jack, Survivor, Green Gaming. A lot of these guys have been around for, or definitely been within Flux for a long time, so they all know the score, but there are definitely a few standouts of people who can, who definitely able to calm the nerves, as it were. Bruce definitely being one of them, understanding that, as you said, you can't finish a time race any earlier, and saving the tyres and not making mistakes ultimately is what will win you the race. You've only got to be first at the end, and that is time. So this is going to be the last lap, I believe. So Bruce, final few corners to navigate, and he will take what could be another clean sweep. We wait and see if he's managed to bag himself the fastest lap. Wadge unable to close that 2 second gap. Perfectly managed by Bruce, really. He got himself into turn 1 off the start, and held on to it whilst everyone was fighting, pulled out that gap and has managed it wonderfully as he navigates the turn 14 there with no issues at all. Great win from Bruce, a big flash of lights there, well deserved from the Ginetta driver. Great effort. Wadge takes home second in the M6. He'll be happy with that. Blank Foul coming around the final corner as well in the Bentley. A third place from him, much better than what we saw in week 1. So a good result from him. Chris, I think, has been my driver of the day. Only for getting right up to the top, falling back and having to come all the way back and battle his way to 4th as we saw him finally getting the better of Dr. Potford. A brilliant drive from him in that Lamborghini. He takes home 4th place for his efforts. He will be happy with that one. Dr. Potford, a good race, good showing from him, taking home 5th in that NSX. And I think week by week we're going to see that car improve and him start to get further and further up the grid. So he'll definitely be one to watch going forwards. But another brilliant result from him. He'll be happy with that. We see a little flash of the lights there. Tibby takes home, well, actually he's coming around the final corner now, so he's going to hold on to 6th place, beating Flush, Mays and CDN. That little battle playing out there. Tibby comes out on top. Flush doing much better than last week. He takes home 7th. Mays coming in just behind him in 8th in that AMG. CDN, the little cameraman's lost. As CDN comes into the last corner there now as well, he's going to take home 9th. Snarly and Bongo 10th, Jack 11th by the looks of it. Survivor and Green Game. It does look like Tibby and Flush have got some time penalties, so we have to keep an eye out how that's going to play out. Here it is. So, in first place, Bruce Law takes it home. Did he get the fastest lap? It looks like he has. So, another clean sweep from Bruce Law, pole position, fastest lap and the race win. Another boatload of points for him. He'll be happy with that. Wadge takes home 2nd in the M6. Blank File comes home in 3rd. There's the top 3. Good result from them. Chris comes home in 4th in that Lamborghini. Brilliant recovery drive from him. He's got Dr. Potford for company in that NSX. A good drive from both of them drivers. Tibby able to fend off Flush, Mays and CDN for the 6th place. Flush improving his result from last week. He gets home in 7th. He'll be happy with that one. Mays staying with it to the end, 8th. He had the possibility of holding on to 6th, but made two mistakes, couldn't quite keep it together, so he'll be looking to improve on that into next week. CDN takes out 9th, and Snarling Bongo rounds out the top 10. Jack Domenez come home in 11 after a big incident we saw him have. Not sure whether that was contact or just driver error. We wait and see. Survivor comes home in 12th with Green Gaming for company in the Z4s. Them cars not working out for them at all. TGS retired. Flat Pack retired. And it looks like Lingo has gone as well. So no points scored from them 3. Flat Pack, obviously the reserve driver this week. We saw him driving extremely well, actually, so we'll have to wait and see what happened to him. I don't know whether he picked up some damage, but there it is. Let me get a screenshot of this before Jack shouts at me. So, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Round 2 for the GT3s is done and dusted. Next week we head to Sakito with a track that's got a little bit more flavour for everyone, I think. I think the cars will be a much more balanced outfit there. We'll see a lot of... I think we might see that Bentley and that M6 do well there. But that Ginetta has definitely been something to behold. I've been the Console. Thank you for joining me. As I said, please hit like and subscribe on the video. It helps us massively in helping grow the channel. Go follow us on social media for all the race updates. And head over to www.fluxmotorsport.com to get yourself any sort of Flux merch that you fancy. And you can join our community there if you want to get your name out and stream and come racing too. I've been the Console. I've been joined by McToasty. Thank you for joining us in the box, mate.
Oh yeah,
we
no
hope
problem.
to see you next week.
Yeah, I'll be here.
And that is all from us. Thank you and good night.